No shortage of political drama this year, from the midterm elections, which are going to shake up Washington in 2019, to a bruising confirmation battle for a Supreme Court justice and ongoing shakeups within the president's staff.
And looming above it all is special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Mola Lenghi has more details from the White House.
President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, flipped on his boss and pled guilty to campaign finance violations and fraud.
Michael, what's your message to the president?
Cohen will spend 3 years in jail after admitting to paying off 2 women who allegedly had affairs with Mr. Trump to keep them quiet. He joins other former Trump associates who have pled guilty to crimes ranging from tax evasion to lying to the FBI. All have agreed to cooperate with special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was forced to resign in November, in large part because he recused himself from overseeing the Mueller probe.
He should have certainly let us know if he was going to recuse himself, and we would have put a different Attorney General in.
And former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson found out he was fired when President Trump tweeted Mike Pompeo would be his replacement.
We were not really thinking the same. With Mike Pompeo, we have a very similar thought process.
They were just some of the senior level departures from the Trump White House, including several cabinet members, his national security advisor, communications director, and chief of staff.
What is that?
In June, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a Colorado baker who refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple because of his religious beliefs.
The biblical teaching on faith, on marriage, is pretty clear.
And in July, President Trump nominated Brett Kavanaugh to take Anthony Kennedy's seat on the bench. But it was a contentious confirmation, with several women from Kavanaugh's past coming forward with allegations of sexual abuse.
I believed he was going to rape me. I tried to yell for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling.
Judge Kavanaugh vehemently denied the allegations.
My family and my name have been totally and permanently destroyed by vicious and false additional accusations.
President Trump made Kavanaugh and immigration key topics in the midterm elections in order to stir up the GOP base. He even deployed the military to the border to confront a caravan of refugees from Central America.
You look at what's marching up, that's an invasion. That's an invasion.
Republicans were able to not only keep control of the Senate, they added 2 seats to their majority, but the GOP couldn't overcome a near record number of retirements in the House.
If I am here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad.
The blue wave swept Democrats to power in the House with a 40-seat majority, likely making Nancy Pelosi the next Speaker of the House. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, Washington.
And with control of the House, Democrats have now won the power of the subpoena.
They are promising to use that power to provide oversight of the White House when they take control in 2019.